Hello everyone, welcome to the future with AHI. Today we're going to be discussing a very important topic. It is tree planting and environmental sustainability. Sometimes you want to check, you want to ask, why is everybody now talking about planting of trees? Why are we now even focusing on planting of trees? What is so important about trees that everybody is talking about it? Well, as the climate is changing, so many things are happening in our environment because of human activities and all that. We need to be able to cushion the effect of climate change, and that's why some of the remedy that is being discussed across board when it comes to climate change is tree planting. So today I have Comrade Opialu with me that will be discussing why tree planting, the need for tree planting, environmental sustainability in entirety. So quickly, I want to start with my very first question. While I allow Comrade to introduce himself, I'll also be following up with what is the need for tree planting. Comrade, good afternoon and welcome on set. So I want you to introduce yourself to the audience and then tell us why tree planting.
Thank you for having me. My name's Opialu. I have been on set of this program for quite a time.
Everybody should know you by now.
Once again, thank you for having me. Like I used to introduce myself, I am a farmer by birth, by training and by passion. I am a Nigerian living in the tropical environment, and wherever you are watching this program from, I know the temperature of the environment is not friendly. Many air conditioners are no longer functioning as desired because the environmental temperature has increased beyond what it ordinarily ought to be. And that speaks to what we call climate change. Climate change, by simple definition, is the degree of variation in climatic conditions over time. Where we used to have 6-8 months of rainfall, we now have 5 months of rainfall. Where we used to have 3 months of dry season, we now have 4 or 5 months of dry season. The volume of rainfall have reduced. Then the concentration of rainfall within certain months have increased, leading to flood. Then the temperature of the environment, the atmosphere, has increased by nearly 60%. Wherever you are this time around, in West Africa, you will notice that the temperature is extremely high. The direct impact of sunlight and the heat therefrom is very high, resulting in health hazards, direct effect on crops, particularly perennial crops, and even livestock. And this affects the availability of pasture for grazing. And the effect of this is the migration of the pastoralists from their original habitats in savanna into the southern belt. And the effect of this migration is population explosion and conflict between farmers and herders. All this constitutes challenges to human beings, to government, to farmers, to herders, and even religious leaders. And to this effect, Abundance of Hope Initiative undertakes a careful study, analysis, and research to see what we as human beings, irrespective of our position, whether we are in government or out of government, private citizens or politicians, what can we do to ameliorate these challenges of climate change? Because climate change is not standing alone. It comes with its own challenges, like I mentioned, migration, food shortage, water shortage, because water bodies are drying up. Those of you who are familiar with Lake Chad and Lake Chad Basin, the Lake Chad has shrunk by over 38% in the last 10 years. And the shrinking of the lake is continuous. It's not peculiar to Lake Chad alone. Lake Victoria is shrinking. Lake Tanganyika is shrinking. All the lakes that used to provide source of livelihood, either as source of irrigation or source of fish, are all shrinking. And the population of consumers who depend on these lakes are increasing. So if the population is increasing and the source is decreasing, that means it points clearly to shortage. An abundance of hope, as part of his mandate, speaks greatly to food security. So climate change affects to a very large extent food supply, food shortage, and a threat to food security. So I think as we go on in the program, I will be speaking to the issues around this climate change.
Thank you so much. I think that's like a very good background that you've given already, helping us to understand climate change and then what it really means, and then the effects of climate change in the environment. Thank you so much for that. So the next thing I would like us to talk about is bringing it down to our local environments, to the locals, for people to be able to relate, because you have said so many things about ice melting, the lakes shrinking, and so many other effects and impacts as it concerns different areas and all that. So now I want us to bring it to our local environment. For a farmer who is somewhere in a rural environment, what is this climate change? How is it impacting that person? Because they might just be like, Lake Victoria is not anywhere close to me, so how does it affect me? There is no place where the ice melting and all of that. So we would like that this is really broken down to the level of everyone, especially the farmers, the elders, the small business owners, even consumers. It's broken down for everybody to understand, so that they know that the issue of climate change is not really about the Lake Victoria or the Lake Chad or whichever way, but then it's really at our doorsteps. So I would like us to do some of these breakdowns.
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, when we talk about climate change, it is not rocket science.
No.
It's not that something is happening in the US, in Canada, in Egypt. No, climate change is happening right where we are. Those of us who are old enough to remember the last 20 years, we know that the quantity of rain, the distribution of rain across the rainy season, the length of the dry season have all changed. The temperature of the environment in the months of November, December, January, February, March have also changed. The length of harmattan have increased. So these are the evidences that the climate is not what we used to know. And once a thing is not the way you used to know it, that means a change has happened. That is why we call it climate change. 25 years ago, rainy season starts across Nigeria up to the north central Nigeria in March, sometimes earlier than March 16th. But in the last 4 or 5 years, rainy season starts around May. And in the last year, rainy season ended in north central on the 5th of October. That was when the last rain fell. And the effect of that last rain falling in October means majority of the crops that ordinarily were planted in August with the view that the rains of September, October, November will sustain it, all went bad. Before this time, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, rain continues in the north, sometimes up to November. In the far north, up to October. And these rains sustain grasses which constitutes the major source of food for livestock, particularly cattle and goats. Because these rainfalls are not meeting up this expectation, this normal or what we used to know, there are no more enough pastures for the herders and their cattle. So there is a need for them to move to where they can find greener pastures. And where they are going to find these greener pastures is in the north central, the southeast and the southwest, where the farmers of crops inhabit. So these two products, the crops and the animals, do not easily cohabit because one constitutes food for the other. And once the cattle and the goats and the sheep begins to eat the crops, the owners of the crop will not be happy, and that will generate conflict. Scientists have, in their research, come up with the finding that the trees, the plants, breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. And the humans breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. That means what the human breathe out as is waste is what the trees inhale as their own fresh air. And what the trees breathe out is what the human beings inhale. So that means there's a symbiotic relationship between the humans and the plants. Simple chemistry of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is cool, carbon dioxide is warm. And that is why if you stay under a tree, the environment there is cool because the tree is breathing out cool air and taking in the hot air that we are breathing out. So simple chemistry of the relationship between the man and the tree tells us that the tree has an effect on the environmental temperature. So you don't need to be a scientist to know that under the tree is cooler than elsewhere. So this takes us to the need to plant trees. If you look at the rivers and the streams and the brooks, the small water outlets in our communities, the ones that are within the forest zones do not dry all year round. And the ones in the open grassland, once the rain ceases, 2-3 months later, the remaining waters dry up. Meaning that the trees provide a shade that protects the water. And when there are no trees, the waters dry up. And it is not a new story that man cannot survive without water. So these trees protect the water. That means as human beings, our activities that destroy these trees should be curtailed so that we protect the trees, then the trees will protect the waters. Simple geographical science says that environmental protection of the trees increases the rainfall. That the evaporation from the trees, the plants, goes into the atmosphere, cools and condenses and falls as rain. And that explains why in the forest areas of southwestern Nigeria and the south-south part of Nigeria, there are more rains. And that the reduction in the volume of rains and the duration of rains coincides with the reduction of the forest and the environment, the forest, the trees in the north. So the more the trees reduce, the more the volume and the time of the rain reduce. So simple analysis or proportionate analysis shows that more trees, more rain. Less trees, less rain. That means there's a need for us to afforest it.
Thank you so much. This is really enlightening. Thank you so much. So you see one of the reasons why deserts don't have rains. Comrade just analyzed it for us why where we have trees there are more rains because of the evaporation that goes up and then the cooling and condensing to fall back as rain and all that. So it's really important that we know and we understand that this climate change is not rocket science, like he said. It's not about some weird things out there. It's not about some form of big stuff out there, because most times when people explain climate change, they are looking at some big things, landslide, volcanicity, earthquake. No, there are just so many of the things that we do that results to variations in our weather conditions, and that's once it has spanned for a very long time, it becomes climate change. For example, some of the experiences we had with rain a few years ago, we don't have it anymore. You cannot even predict anymore that, oh, this rain is going to come this so season and all of that, because human activities have really influenced this climate, and it's changing so rapidly. So the next question I would like to ask you, comrade, is, so who are the people that are supposed to plant trees? Should be responsible for planting of trees?
Thank you. The question should have been, who needs the tree?
Oh, really?
Yes.
The person that needs the tree should plant it.
Yes. Who needs the tree? That is supposed to be the question.
But if I say who needs
Yes.
the tree,
If you
there
go
will be no
into
question there.
if you go into towns and villages, once the sun is high, people gravitate towards where there is a shade. Mm-hmm. In the cities, they create what we call parks and gardens. These parks and gardens are shades made from trees. Those who can afford it plant trees within their compound to create that cool environment. So the question, even beasts, animals, when the sun is hot, they go under the tree to take cover. Because like I said, the tree generates oxygen and inhales carbon dioxide. So the cool atmosphere under the tree attracts every living thing, man and animal. That means planting of tree is the responsibility of all. In the days of the General Babangida administration as a military president in Nigeria, there was this agency called MAMSA. It was championed by then Professor Jerry Ghana as the DG of MAMSA. MAMSA was Mass Mobilization for Social Justice. What they do was they campaigned vigorously on tree planting. It was not directed at a particular agency or an institution. They say, plant one tree every day, and plant 2 trees where you intend to cut down one. Mm. What that speaks to is that we are going to cut down these trees for furniture, for building, for other activities, even firewood. But if we plant one every day and plant 2 where we cut one, there will always be trees to protect the environment. That was the context of that orientation, that people should plant 1 tree every day. That everybody should plant 1 tree every day, because these trees are the lungs of the earth. Mm. If anybody remove the lung of any human being, the person is dead. So by the time we are cutting down trees, we are removing the lungs of the earth. That means we are indirectly killing the earth. Because by the time we continue to remove the trees, the rivers will run dry. The rainfall will reduce as it is reducing now. So if we continue to cut the trees down, the length of rainy season will continue to reduce until there are no more rains. When we say there are no rains in the desert, it's because there are no trees in the desert. Mm. So if we continue to cut down the trees, where we are now will become a desert too, and there will be no more rains. Mm. And we can imagine what the desert lifestyle will be for all of us. Mm. Shortage of food, difficult environment, very hostile environment, and it comes with various types of skin disease, cancer, rashes, and various types of diseases that accompany desertification. Mm. So we need to take responsibility as individuals, not the state, not government, not institutions. Everybody needs to plant 1 tree every day. And when you intend to cut down 1, you plant 2. The reason why I say plant 2 when you cut down 1 is that human beings are a multiplying being. Yeah. As I'm cutting down 1 tree, I'm planting 2, and I'm going to give birth to 4 children, or 5, as the case may be. Or if I choose to become a polygamist, I'll give birth to about 21 children, who are not up to the age of planting trees yet. But I am not planting. If I'm not planting, I am going to breathe from the air from the oxygen from the single tree that is left. I'm going to give birth to 21 other children who also want to breathe from the same tree. So we need to plant more so that there will be enough oxygen for all of us to thrive.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really like the idea of plant 1 tree every day and plant 2 where you intend to cut 1. That's really great. I think we should start championing that. And we have heard that the concept of planting trees is not for government, it's not for institutions, it's not for agencies, it's for individuals. You and I are responsible to plant trees to protect our mother earth. We just heard that the trees are the lungs of the earth. Let us protect the lungs of our mother earth by planting trees. And really, this is really insightful because to a very great extent, we'll keep cutting down trees, maybe for some of the things that we do, some of the human activities that goes on. You need furnitures in your house, they are coming from the trees out there. Notebooks are coming from these same trees. So many things are coming from the trees out there. But then what do we do to ensure that we don't use all of the trees for furniture and then we're left in a desert? And that's the solution that Comrade just gave us, that we should plant 1 tree every day and then plant 2 trees where we intend to cut down 1 tree. So if you are listening to us or you're seeing us, make it a habit to start planting trees every day. Every day, start planting trees, whether they will grow, whether they will survive, they will not survive, whether you think that they are sustainable or not. We're advising you, we're admonishing you to please keep planting trees in your backyards, on the roads, everywhere. Just keep planting trees, and you never can tell how many of them would survive. You never can tell how much you're protecting the earth, how much you're protecting the environment. And because we have come to understand that trees are doing a whole lot, protecting us and doing so much for us and all that. So as we conclude this conversation, Comrade, I would like you to, tell our viewers how we can plant trees. So people are just thinking, maybe, how do we get to start planting trees? What kind of trees should we plant? What do you mean tree when you say plant trees and all that? Do we have to look for Iroko to plant, mahogany to plant and all that? So what kind of trees should we plant and how do we go about them? I think you should tell us how to go about this.
All right, thank you so much. Professor Gajabe once said that if you take man to the court of nature, all men will go to prison.
Ouch.
Because the trees we are cutting down were planted by beasts. Rabbit ate palm kernel somewhere, excreted the seed somewhere, and it germinated. It became a palm tree. We come to harvest it, process oil, produce palm wine from it for our own consumption without even thanking the rabbit. Then we cut them down and we didn't plant anyone. The majority of the trees we are cutting down, either for firewood, for furniture, or for other uses, or clearing them away to build our houses, were planted by beasts, or by dispersal, by wind or water. The man has done very little. So far, the quantity of trees, plants that we are cutting down, less than 10% was planted by us. When we say plant 1 tree every day, you buy 2-3 pieces of cashew for your child to eat. The cashew comes with a nut. If you plant that nut in front of your house, it will germinate. That is a tree. Many of us take oranges. Each orange you take has minimum of 7 seeds. Thank God for our own environment here. Whatever you plant here germinates. A one-time military administrator of Benue State, Colonel Yohana Madaki, he said Benue is so blessed that even if you plant stone here, it will grow. What he was trying to say metaphorically was that everything grows on our soil. And it is the same across Nigeria. Every state in Nigeria has a comparative advantage for a type of tree that can grow there. It does not matter the type of tree. Every tree takes in carbon dioxide and breathes out oxygen. So it could be economical trees, it could be trees that are ornamental. Any plant that you see that can grow, plant a tree. When you need to remove it, maybe because of building, because of road construction, because of that thing, remove it. But before you to remove one, plant 2 more. So that the one you intend to remove, you replace it. You are supposed to plant one ordinarily every day. Since you want to remove one, you plant another one, an additional one. So that where you are removing the one, you plant 2 to replace the one. Because the one you are removing is a big one. So the quantity of oxygen coming from that big one is bigger than the quantity of oxygen that will come from the small one that you are just planting. That's why we say plant 2, so that it can replace the one. So Abundance of Hope Initiative has come up with a concept to campaign the tree planting initiative through colleges and universities. So that this ideology of planting 1 tree every day will be communicated to the society through the institutions. And to this effect, Abundance of Hope Initiative is negotiating with the Federal University of Lafayette on a tree planting project to start tree planting from the university campus, bringing in the students into the understanding of the need to plant trees. And you know, these students came into the school from different parts of Nigeria. That by the time we were able to initiate them into the tree planting project, they leave the school either for NYSC, for employment, or wherever they will go with this concept, this understanding that the trees are the lungs of the earth. So Abundance of Hope also is raising a large nursery of seedlings of various types of trees. And we are planning to bring in people from across various walks of life to imbibe the culture of tree planting. And once we train people on tree planting, we give them from the nursery as our own contribution to afforestation. Because we have the understanding that the trees speaks to sustainability of environment. And because it is difficult to preach a change is difficult to preach. All of us eat bread. 70 to 75% of the breads baked in Nigeria are done by used by this firewood oven. So as we are eating bread baked from the firewood oven, we are deforesting the environment. That means we are eating bread today and inviting desert for tomorrow. So bread on the left hand, desert on the right hand. And when the desert comes, there will be no firewood again to even continue to bake. So sustainability means achieving the success of today without compromising tomorrow. So we need to continue to eat this bread baked by the firewood oven. Beautiful. But if we continue to cut down without planting, a time will come, there will be none to cut. So we are also looking at renewable, cleaner energy. But transiting from the current type of energy we are used to this renewable and clean energy will take an incubation period. In the interim, while we are talking about the incubation period, we have to sustain the environment. As we are preaching, do not use firewood, use gas. Do not use firewood, use solar. Do not use petrol, do not use fossil fuel, use compressed natural gas. There is a link between where we are now and where we want to be. So while we are waiting to cross over from the combustible energy to renewable energy to CNG, we have to sustain the environment by planting trees. That is why we say the tree is the future of the earth. And the trees are the lungs of the earth. If you remove the lung of any living thing, that thing dies. So let us not kill the earth, because we have only but one.
Thank you so much, comrade. Thank you so much. Let us not kill the earth, because we have only but one. I thought that was going to be my last question, but please, I want you to quickly tell us more about this project where Abundance of Hope Initiative is raising nurseries, and then they're going to be training people on tree planting and then giving them some of these nurseries to plant and all that. Can you just tell us more about it? Who is the eligible person that can apply to be trained?
must be a witch or you must be lying. So we want to create a situation where the generation after us will think that the story of desertification was only a prose, not reality.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And that's actually a very nice concept for with Abundance of Hope initiative. Okay, so and still looking forward to this project to see that the tree planting becomes a household thing in Nigeria. And like Comrade said, we can actually get to live out this desertification life that even the people after us or the generation after us thinks that whatever it is that was talked about of desertification is actually a lie. So please, it is time for us to start now. Comrade has told us how we can start planting trees and then what kind of trees we can plant. So you really have to start now. You have that cashew that you are intending to throw away, that cherry or avocado, that fruit that you want to throw away, you want to just burn or whatever, throw into the dustbin. This is your time to plant. This is the time to plant. It is our time to plant. Like it's been mentioned time and time again, the trees are the lungs of the earth and we really need to protect them. Thank you so much everyone for listening to us. Until we come your way again with another edition of The Future with AHI. My name is Patience Brimo. Goodbye everyone.